All right, we are live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jason Lucchese. Happy Memorial Day. I am down in St. Louis. Been staying the past few days with my good buddy Jason Palliser, and yes, he is right there. We figured we were going to do this with two computers, and so Jay, how's everything going in your world? You're sitting right next to me. How's everything going?
Pretty good. Thank you for holding my hand. Literally through this.
Nice. So for everybody that's on right now, make sure you give us a big thumbs up. Let us also know that you can hear us fine. Just drop a comment. Let us know. Hey, what's going on? Welcome. We're going to be going over a real deal here in just a moment. So we see that we've got some people coming on. So, hey, it's Rick from Indy. Hey, Rick, how's it going, buddy? Can you guys hear us just fine? Just make sure you let us know that you can see and hear us because we're doing this live today. So make sure you give us a thumbs up if you could hear us and drop a comment below. Hey, it's Luke. What's going on, Luke? Nice to see you, buddy.
Luke, what's up?
Luke's been on the last few of these and getting some good feedback from you, buddy. I appreciate it. Will is here. Everything sounds great. Okay, cool.
Jason, is this my good session? Since you're sitting next to me?
Yeah, they both actually look pretty good, bud.
Thank you.
Will, yes. See and hear. Okay, perfect. So let me get this down. And Jay's been swamped today with blueprint calls, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Ciro, I guess Mike told me I'm supposed to know your name perfectly since you're Italian and I'm Italian. So if I am mispronouncing that, I think it's Ciro. So I apologize. I guess I'm losing my Italian card.
Yeah, I could probably announce it better than you.
You probably can. You're a Jedi Knight master. So let's see here. Let's hop into what we got today. What we're going to really be covering is a deal that Jason has had secured, and we want to really kind of here. So H-Town near .shops says you're a little bit low. Oh, I got it. Perfect. So what I'll do is this. I'm going to move over to a different spot, and then you could unmute yourself, Jay, so people could hear you just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be fine. We won't have any echo. I'm going to open up the shades in the back. There we go.
Can everybody hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah, I'm not really hearing echo. You good?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. We just want to make sure everybody can hear. So this deal that we're talking about, Jay has this deal, and it's a deal that's created 3 different profit centers from one deal. So we're going to talk about this. I think there's still a little bit of echo. Do you have your volume turned all the way down, Jay?
Yeah, my volume's off.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll just hop in. Oh, yeah. Somebody said bad echo. Ooh. Well, let me find another spot in the house.
Hey, take them up into the. So the house we're in right now, I've owned, and my wife and I, we moved to Florida, but we kept it as an Airbnb. Go up in the hidden bedroom. So we have a bookshelf with a hidden bedroom, and when people Airbnb it, they love it. So he's literally walking. Show him the other side of that bookshelf there. Check that out. It's a bookshelf. It's a hidden bedroom. So this is an old schoolhouse I renovated and moved into it, and then I also added a hidden office. But once we moved, we turned it into a hidden bedroom, which is pretty cool. So if you're coming to St. Charles, Missouri, come check it out on Airbnb.
All right. Hopefully this is better. Is this better? Jake, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. let's see if this. I'm up in the area where I've been sleeping the past few days. All right, I think we're good. I don't really hear too much of an echo.
Yeah, let's roll.
All right, cool. Let me turn up my volume. All right, perfect. So I'm sitting Indian style. Okay, so we got this now. All right, cool. Let's hop into it. I'm going to show my screen here. So this is the lease option that pays you in 3 different ways. So Jay's going to talk about how he's been able to manage cash flow from this deal, how he was able to get a lump sum from this deal, and how he's going to transition this into getting a big payoff because there's lots of equity in this deal. So I'm going to run through it. I'm going to ask Jay some questions here, and I'm going to go on to the next part here. This is the central property. Now, since this is an active deal that Jay has going on, we're not going to disclose the address or anything like that. But this is the house right there. This is the house. And Jay and I were talking about it earlier today. It's a pretty sweet house. And Jay, why don't you tell them what's in the basement?
Dude, this house is just a side note before we get into dropping hammers on how to make money here. I was telling him this morning, I'm like, dude, this house is badass from this standpoint. Their basement has a full-blown sauna in it. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And then it's like he's got his own full-blown casino in there. So he's got a roulette. He's like literally got a roulette table, like a big one. And he's also got a monster craps table too. I was like, and he has his own little coins too. So I guess his friends come over or do whatever. But I was like, you don't mind if I come here, right? You don't have any drink limit here, do you? I can get an Uber home. And I was like, I would live in that basement by itself. It's awesome.
Nice. That's a nice one though. And we had the lease option video that we did. I think it was Wednesday, this past Wednesday, and we had a ton of people pouring in with questions. And one of the top ones was, how are you finding deals? So on this particular property, the central property, how was this deal found?
Yeah, and before I even get into that, like you said, Jason, we did this the other day and we talked about lease options. And I was joking with him. I'm like, I don't know what I already know until everybody starts asking me questions. So when we were done, I started laughing. I'm like, wow, I know a lot more than I thought I did. Just based upon people asking very strict questions versus what everybody else does. Like you have some very strict guideline questions, and I filleted it open, and it got such feedback. That's why we're doing this video today, is to talk about this particular deal deeper, so that you guys and gals have a better understanding. This is just one philosophy that we teach inside the blueprint when we negotiate with the property owner. So how was this deal found? Okay. So this deal was a delinquent tax. Okay. So this deal is a delinquent tax property, and it was also a driving for dollars property. Now, as you see, the property looks super nice, but when we were driving, this is a really nice neighborhood in St. Louis, by the way. And but we were driving, and the mailbox was overflowing, which is a sign. So sometimes the yard and the curb appeal are immaculate, but if you can look for those little things. So we found this deal because it's a tax delinquent. It was also a pre-foreclosure. So now we're stacking levels of motivation, and then also driving for dollars. So that's how we found this particular deal.
Okay, cool. And one of the main strategies that we do, Mike and I, and Mike's not on right now, is because it's more convenient. Jason and I are here right now, but Mike and I have something going out for tax delinquent ourselves. And I'm sure we'll probably run across this right here, because in the blueprint, there's 30 different ways to find deals. And I think probably the most popular is tax delinquent, especially for us and the students that are part of the 2-day blueprint, if I'm not mistaken, right, Jason?
Yeah. So we're here to talk about, obviously, this lease option deal, which is a back-end exit strategy. But when we're talking about the front end, you guys and gals don't get deals closed unless you get the things first. So when we've talked in previous videos, or we're talking now about the 2-day blueprint, We have one coming up this next weekend, and one or two of you on here are going to be there already. So we'll see you there. We get hired. I get hired by hedge funds to suffocate a city 30 plus ways. So tax delinquent is absolutely my number one strategy out of 30 different ways. Out of probate versus pre-foreclosures, driving for dollars, co-violations, cease and desist, order to vacate, FSBOs. How do we rip deals off of Craigslist, Google? Delinquent tax is our number one strategy. We build out 30 plus ways to suffocate your city and get every conceivable motivated seller to raise their hand so you get there first, because that's what we get hired to do when a place needs 1,000 homes in the city. But tax delinquent is absolutely, Jason, as you know, it's my favorite off-market lead and motivated seller lead of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah, for us too. And, keeping it on this central property, you already talked about tax delinquent, overflowing mailbox, but what was like their major problem that they needed to be solved? We talk about this a lot on the YouTube channel. We have you come on because you and I are not only friends, but also partners on a lot of different things. And, one of the biggest things for us is creating value. So what was one of the things that you found out right away that was a problem?
Okay. So, and this isn't the approach. So we teach negotiations on day 2. So I went in to this appointment. Somebody on my team said, "Hey, this is a big one." Because we could end up making $400,000 when this deal is done. So my team said, "Hey, let's break out the big gun." So they had me go on the appointment. And so what I quickly assessed and I led with was this. I said, "Okay, you're obviously behind on taxes. We know that. You're in pre-foreclosure, so therefore you've got to figure out something quickly." And one of the first leading questions, and if you're taking notes here, I always ask them, "Hey, how long have you lived here?" Because if they've lived there for more than 5-10 years, that house instantly becomes 1,000 times more personal to them, right? So what I did was quickly assess, because they said, "Hey, we've been here 29 years at the time." I said, "Let me guess. The problem is you're behind on taxes. Problem is you're going to pre-foreclosure. The situation that had that come to be was that he had some prostate cancer stuff, and he just got through it. So they had spent their reserves trying to get him better, right? Fell behind on everything. So what happened was this. Their situation was he's behind on medical bills. And his retirement was kicking in about 6 to 8 months. So he didn't have the money to pay his payments. So we needed to solve that. But the thing is, when I quickly assessed that if they've been there 30 years, they don't want to move. They're in a situation, they would never be in a position where they're going to lose the house and have to move if he didn't get sick. So what happened is, and these other investors, and they're big competitors of mine in town, it makes me laugh sometimes, because I was there and there's probably 10 business cards. And I know some of them personally. And I asked him, I go, "Let me guess." His name is John. I go, "Hey, John." I go, "Let me guess. Everyone came and offered you cash." I go, "You owe 300 and something on this house. It's probably worth 600 or so, maybe 550, 600. It's really worth 700. But I was like, "Hey, it needs a little bit of work." And let me tell you, folks, it doesn't need that much work. But that was just positioning on my end. But what I told him is this. I'm like, "Let me guess. Everybody offered you 450, 500. And he's like, "Yeah." So they're basically offering you on a house that you've lived in for 30 years that you'd like to live here the rest of your life. I'm assuming you and your wife. They just offered you $100,000 to go away, $150,000. I'm assuming, and so here's where I go in different. Okay, so if you're taking notes and listening, you need to offer different options. Say, "Hey, look, we pay cash too, and we can discuss that." I go, but before I would even say that to you or disrespect you with an offer, why don't I just simply ask you this? Do you even want to move? You don't want to pack a single box, do you? You would like to not move. I go, if there's a way that I could figure this out to where you don't move, would that be something that you'd be interested in above all else? And he goes, "Absolutely." And his wife came and actually sat down. He told me after the fact later, after we struck a deal, that his wife heard everybody. His wife would listen in while he sat down with people, and she never came over to sit at the table until I started talking to them differently. And all I did, nothing magical, all I did that was different was saying, hey, you probably don't want to move, do you? I go, if I could find a situation where you don't have to pack a single box because in 3 weeks you don't have a choice, would that be something of interest to you? Which is where I went down the lease option route. What I did was basically take title to the house. I said, look, you're 20 grand behind or so, 25 grand, something like that, behind in payments. If I can catch those up, and why wouldn't I, folks, if they have 400 grand in equity? I said, if I can catch that up and start making your payments for you and give you 6 to 8 months to at a much smaller amount per month until your retirement kicks in, and then we'll kick that up to a much higher number because I might lose money on paper the first few months. Is that something, if I solved your problem, that you'd be interested in? And I told him, I said, but if I did that, it's insane for me to catch up 25 grand in back payments and then start paying 2,500 a month, which was his payments combined on his first and second mortgage, and then have you give me 1,500 and lose another 1,000 a month. That's insane unless I'm on title. There's no reason for me to do that. So if you guys would explore putting me on title to the property, then I will explore leasing this back to you for 2 years, as long as we both agree to you buying it back at retail value. Now, when I say retail value, that means if they owe 300 and something and it gets appraised at 700, he's going to basically give me another $400,000. You guys and girls might listen to this and go, why on earth would they do that? Because you don't understand. Their highest motivating factor is that they don't want to leave the house. They'd rather pay, because he also sells planes, and he said he had some deals in the work which make him a few $100 grand. He's like, if I don't have to move, we agreed upon doing 3 appraisals and throwing out the high appraisal value, the low appraisal value, taking the median value, and that's what the sales price back to me was. So the problem is that you didn't have to move. Yeah.
The thing I wanted to ask you here is, for folks that may not have that 25 grand and may not be able to, do the payment structuring in the way that you did this particular deal, would it be an opportunity to get like a partner that does have that type of cash and can do it, and all you would have to do is maybe form an LLC together, have that person come on title with you, with the business entity, and then you don't have to come out of pocket with any of your own funds if you don't have it. Like for some of our subscribers that are listening right now, if they don't have those funds, would that be something that we can do?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you and I could do that with them, so you guys could partner with us. So absolutely. So all you have to do is do a joint venture with somebody. You can set up an LLC called blah 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 Candy Lane LLC, just the address of the property, and then you quick claim it to that. So what we did is we have them quick claim it to that, and then caught up his back payments, because there's so much equity. Now I'm on title to the house; they're not, unless they buy it back, right? So yeah, you can partner with somebody that can come in with the capital. If you do the work of structuring the deal. So what I did was, where he told everyone else no, and my competitors, by the way, told them all no, which makes me smile, because they're not equipped on the negotiation side to explore the options that make the most sense for the homeowner, that still make me money and makes them happy, right? So we got that deal where other people just threw out a cash offer and then half-heartedly followed up. And they actually made it easy for me to get that deal done.
Yeah, they basically propped you up. So let's talk about, you negotiated the terms where you were able to get on title and they were going to be able to help you out. Let's see here. I put a few questions in here, and we'll get to them here. So negotiating the terms, you were able to get cash flow essentially on this deal after the first initial period. And then didn't you receive also, once he got his retirement money and sold some of those planes, you also got a nice chunk paid back?
So here's how we negotiated. Here's how we structured this deal. So I told him, I go, first and foremost, I'll catch your payments up, but I have to be on title first. And so I go, and he understood that. I'm like, I'm not going to catch up your payments and then have you say, thank you, thanks for buying me time, Jason, I'm going to put you on my Christmas list. And so him and his wife understood that. So I I had the money ready to go to wire to both of his banks so we could stop the foreclosure, and added up, I think, roughly to 25 grand or so. He quit claimed it. So I had my title company drop a quit claim deed. So he quit the claim to his house and basically just put me on title. And but before we did that, I signed a lease agreement with him stating that he owed me $1,500 a month from May until January when his retirement kicked in. And so even though the payments I was going to start making on a monthly basis were $2,500, I was still losing another $1,000 a month for like 7 months. So all said and done, I was 32 grand between catching his payments up and then losing 1,000 a month. But then it kicked into my favor in January. In the lease, it says, hey, the payment goes from 1,500 to 3,500. So then I was making 1,000 a month. But here's what I also told him. Since he said he had money coming in from the sale of a couple planes that he had put the two entities together or whatever. I told him that when two things. One, when that kicks in, when his retirement kicks in, I want 25 grand to go towards the purchase. So he did that. So instantly I was pretty much back to zero. I was back to zero into the property, but now I'm on title and I have 300, 400 grand in equity, right? Yeah, so I did that, but I also put in his lease agreement, if at any time he goes 30 days late, it nullifies that lease agreement, and it also nullifies my contract because I negotiated the lease terms like I told you, but then I also wrote a contract for him to have 2 years to buy it back at market value. So that's what it's just a regular old purchase contract. And instead of closing in 30 days like a normal residential contract, it just said closing on a date that was 2 years down the road. So I wrote a lease agreement and a purchase agreement. And so I started making the payments directly to the bank because I didn't want to give him money and then have him do it because I wanted to make sure it was getting paid, which he was fine with. And then he gave me 25 grand down. Then he fell 30 days behind, so that nullified his lease and nullified his purchase. I could have turned around and sold it if I wanted to, but I really, truly want him to buy it back. So I just reworked a new lease with him, but then he had to give me another 25 grand down as consideration for the lease back. So all said and done, after 6-7 months, I was making 1,000 a month just off of cash flow, and then 50 grand. So now I'm already right now as the property sits, which we just reached the 2-year mark and he hasn't bought it back yet. So he already offered me another 25 grand. I could take it. I can never even sell the house or quick claim it back to him. And I've already made $30,000 or $40,000 on this property. I'm already cash flowing 1,000 a month. But I'm slow playing on redoing a new lease agreement to give him another 90 days and taking another $25,000 from him because I really do just want to sell it. So I'm basically kind of giving him 30 days to truly show me some proof of funds or that he has another airplane closed that has a good ton of cash coming. Otherwise, I'm just going to put it up for sale and I'm going to have to evict him. Right now, I can't evict him with the COVID stuff. He knows that because he's smart. I know that as well. But he also knows that those loans aren't in my name and I don't have to make those payments.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's making a payment to me. I'm making the payments. So if COVID wasn't here, I would literally file to evict him and just turn around and sell it. And again, I'm not trying to be mean. I gave him 2 years to buy it back, and he's 1 month beyond that. And so I'm trying to be fair. But having said that, he's told me twice now that it'll be ready to go by a certain date. And I understand selling a jet, isn't like a normal selling something else. So I get that. It could take longer, but I'm not playing games. I went in it as an investment. He knows that. I know that. I told him from day one, I don't ever want to take this house from me. I don't want you to have to move, but you understand if you stop making payments to me or you don't keep your end of the bargain, that I have to do something. And right. He's aware of that. So that's kind of where we're at situational wise. But so I made some cash flow. I made chunks of money in the lease option consideration because he's restructured with me twice. So I'm probably 25 grand of the positive on this already, even if I just walked away right now. Right. But
And you got a ton of equity in the deal.
since I'm on title and there's a lot of equity, then he's either going to buy it back from me or I'm going to sell it. I mean, this one's a home run. I mean, I'm going to make a few $100,000 on this thing.
No, I know, that's great. And so the documents that you used on this particular deal, so far you discussed the lease option that you had with them, the individuals Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so 4 documents. 1, just a lease agreement. A lease agreement's a normal just rental lease agreement. He's renting back from me. Hey, from this date till January 1st, you're paying $1,500 a month. Then I wrote into the lease agreement, after January 1st, you owe $3,500 a month for 2 years. Okay. It also states in there, if you ever go 30 days behind, that this lease agreement's null and void. So that's a lease agreement. 2, I wrote the purchase agreement with them. It's just a regular purchase. When you write a lease option purchase contract and you're going to buy it 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, or somebody's going to buy it back from you for 2 years from now, 3 years from now, all that is a regular contract with a future date on it. Instead of just writing a contract, you always put a date on the contract. So everybody tries to make this so hard. It's not. You're just writing a contract that's not 30 days later. It's longer than 30 days later. So we just wrote a regular contract for him to buy it back at market value, 2 years into the future, which is right now, actually about a month ago. And so that's just a lease agreement, purchase contract. And then the 2 other documents, I had the title company draw up a quit, QUIT, quit claim deed to quit claim the property to me. So basically release him from title and add me to title. So I had the title company draw up a quit claim deed and they recorded it for me. So now I'm on title so that I could actually feel comfortable. Now I have $400,000 in equity. Of course, I'm going to feel comfortable catching up his back payments. And then lastly, I had them sign an authorization to release information. You can find one on Google when we're done here today. An authorization to release information. So basically they sign their name, social, and date it, saying that they authorized the release of information to me, because I gave that to their banks and said, hey, at any given time, if I want to know what the payoff is, if I want to know what's owed on it, I want to make sure that the loan's current, even though I'm making the payments. They signed an authorization to release information stating that my company, my name and my company are authorized to call the bank, and they can tell me anything about this particular account. So those are the 4 documents I had signed to put myself in a position to be on title. As I sit here right now, as you guys are listening here right now, okay, on this holiday Monday, I'm sitting here with the knowledge in my head that this particular property that you're staring at has $400,000 in equity, and I'm the one on title. Yep. I would never have got that deal if I just made a cash offer. Okay,
Jay, well, and I think we kind of all know what it is right now. And for folks right now that are listening, that are with us live, if you have questions, I'm going to hop into the chat box here in just a second. I can't really see it right now when I'm in presentation mode, but Jay, what is the end exit strategy here? I know there's probably 2 options. You could either have them buy it from you, or you could put it on the market and just sell it that way. Is that the exit strategies you have?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously this exit strategy on this property was a lease option. So they have an opportunity to buy the house back. That's one way to exit this property and get that equity spread. All said and done, I mean, he's got some back taxes and stuff. I didn't pay all of them. I just paid enough to catch it up so that it wouldn't go to tax sale. But the exit is they purchase it back from me, or I just turn around and list it and sell it, or I evict them and then think about
somebody
this.
Else in there.
Very desirable area. I will release option it out to somebody else that wants to buy it. And on that particular sales price, I'll probably get 35 to 50 grand down, non-refundable, because it's a mega nice area. And I'll probably charge $4 a month or $5 a month. So I'll just continue cash flowing again and just do another lease option deal.
Yeah, or like the house that we're both in right now, you could just maybe do an Airbnb, since it's got all those cool little elements inside of it. So there's a lot of different options that you could do if this guy doesn't want to do that. Craig Birds had a question here. So did you quit claim instead of sub 2? And you just said quit claim, correct, Jay?
Yeah. So Craig, hey, my friend. I've been doing this a long time. We just had a conversation today. Jason said it today. I've had a kind of a busy day. I've had 8 people schedule blueprint calls. Okay. So 2-day blueprint calls. And for us to do their build out and teach them negotiations and deal structure on the back end. So I have all these people like, we do subject twos and we do subject to this. I'm taking over the house subject to this, and this happening. And people do that, which is completely fine. I get that. But I just do quick claim deed because it's clean. It's easy. They literally, they're in a pickle. They're way behind. I'm like, look, there's no way I'd be comfortable catching up all these payments on this particular property unless you quick claimed it over to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So that's the way I do it. All this subject to stuff where you have to sign like 10 different pieces of paper, it seems like to me, I just don't get that. I'm straightforward with people and say, hey, I just tell them this. So I'm just kind of teaching you how we negotiate, Craig. We just tell them, say, hey, look, if the roles were reversed and I was getting ready to lose my house, or I was in a pickle here, or I just wanted to move, but I didn't want to continue to make the payments anymore, and it was causing me stress. If you were going to catch up payments that were behind, or if I was asking you to do that, but then I said, no, but yeah, go ahead and do that for me. I promise I won't just say thank you and go, whoo, I just bought myself some more time. I go, you wouldn't do that without some level of protection, right? And they always say, well, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, okay, well, I will do a lease purchase back with you, or I just need to be on title to catch it up. And that's the way that I do it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's easy.
And hey, real quick, if you guys would like to receive the borrower's authorization form that we use, I'll be more than happy to share that with you on our Wednesday video. All that I need you to do is, if we can get a total of 60 likes, so thumbs up, make sure you give us a thumbs up on the video. If we get a minimum of 60 likes and then 60 comments. So right now you're in the live chat comments. So if you go over right below the video, those are the regular comments. So if we get 60 thumbs up and 60 regular comments saying, hey, I would like to have the borrower's authorization, we will go ahead and share that with you on our Wednesday video. So I'll leave that up here for just a minute. We did have a question come in here, Jay. This may sound funny, but you pre-qualify them to refi before going into this contract?
Yeah, sometimes I do. If they're in distress, they're probably personally not going to qualify to refinance, because if they did and there was equity, then they would have already done it and they would have solved their own problem, right? Now, I can, because I talked on the other one, and this might be what you're speaking of, which I know nobody in the lease option space ever brings up or talks about, is that once I'm on title to the property, and I've done funding for 25 years and pretty much strictly investment funding and thousands of clients. I know every program, seemingly every program that there is. So what you may not understand is that once I'm on title, as long as I've been on title for 6 months, I have several banks that say, you've seasoned yourself on title. You've been on title for a certain amount of time. That's what seasoning means. I've been on title for 6 months. They'll allow me, if there's equity, as long as there's 25 to 30% equity or so, they will allow me to refinance it myself. So that is a strategy that I could do. On this particular property, I didn't, because the terms that he has as an owner-occupied person are pretty dang good. So even though I could refinance it right now, I could refinance it and pull out a couple $100,000 cash if I wanted to. But his terms are pretty good right now. But if you run into somebody that their terms are bad, and once you've been on title for 6 months, you can look to refinance it with equity, so no money out of your pocket, and get a better interest rate and drop the payment, which makes the deal even sexier. So yeah, that's something that you could do.
Cool. And we'll take on a few more questions here, and we'll wrap it up. So Bruce was, and hey Bruce, how's it going, man? Why didn't they just get a hard money loan for 50, 60,000 and keep property with so much equity?
Okay. Two reasons on that. So that makes me smile, Bruce. You got me, on this holiday Monday. One, why didn't they do that? They could, but a lot of hard money lenders, most hard money lenders don't want to lend $300 something thousand on a particular property. That's just one. There's other markets and stuff. In the St. Louis market, most hard money lenders don't want to. I do hard money. I lend hard money. So my typical deal here in St. Louis is 50 grand to 150. So you're talking 2 to 3, 4 times that. That might be one reason, but here's the biggest reason. Talk to almost any hard money lender on earth. The last thing a hard money lender wants to do is put a Band-Aid on something for somebody who's in distress. That's an owner occupied. Okay, that's an owner occupied person, and here's why. Hard money lenders do loans for 6 months or less, typically, right? They want their upfront points, and they want to see how is this person I'm going to lend money to on a property going to exit this property. And if it's somebody that wants to stay in their property, but their credit's already jacked up because they're in distress, a hard money lender is looking at that deal and going, well, there's no real exit. I don't see the real exit here. And it's very, very, very risky for a hard money lender to lend hard money on an owner-occupied property because that homeowner is going to fight tooth and nail to stay in the house. And if they already can't get a loan, then that's just a Band-Aid. And any hard money lender worth a lick of salt knows that. So a hard money lender is just creating their own problem. I've been doing hard money loans for 15 years, and I've probably done 500 roughly. And I've probably done an owner-occupied one twice. One, it's because it was my dad's really, really, really good friend, and his house was free and clear, and I was lending to 30%. It's kind of a no-brainer for me. And the other one was a very, 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 very tricky circumstance that I just went ahead and did it, even though it was against my better judgment. So Bruce, that's the reason why. And then the third reason, just a side note, is that most owner-occupied homeowners don't even know what hard money is, and they haven't learned like an investor. So if they did approach a hard money lender and the hard money lender says, fine, we'll give you a 6-month Band-Aid, but it's 12%, and they're at 5%, they're going to freak out and back, I would never pay that interest rate and this and that. Okay, well, you're moving out in 3 weeks, right? So they just don't get it.
The other thing with this too that's tricky, Bruce, is the hard money lender doesn't want to take a third lien position. In this particular case, there's already a first and second lien. So what they would have to do is they would have to get a hard money loan to pay off the first and second and also get them caught back up, because a hard money lender doesn't want to take anything other than first lien position. So that's the other thing too. It wouldn't just be for $50,000 or $60,000 to get them caught back up and to have a little wiggle room. That's just how that deal would not work.
Well, correct. And Jason, I'll say this too, to echo what you said. The hard money lender is going to want to be in first position, which means those other loans that they have on the property have to be paid off. So it could happen, but imagine a regular old homeowner that knows nothing about hard money really, and then you're saying, hey, look, you're going to go from your first mortgage of 3.25% and your second mortgage at 4.75 to now collectively 12.25%. That is a very bitter pill for a homeowner to swallow. So it really isn't a realistic or logical option for them.
Gotcha. Craig was just asking, how do you sign up for the 2-day blueprint? It's right here. Schedule a call. It's www.myblueprintcall.com. And it's a free call. Just schedule a time, and we'll have some time carved out for you, and we'll talk to you about the 2-day blueprint. Let's see here.
And Jason, real fast, we had on the last video, we had 30 something people say, hey, I want to learn more about your 2-day blueprint stuff. So just schedule a call at My Blueprint Call. Pick a day and time that works on your calendar that matches our calendar, and we'll talk to you. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask you questions about what do you want? What are your monthly income goals? And we will reverse engineer based upon what you want and tell you what we can do to help you get there. We help you on the front end with lead generation, 30 different ways, how to do free direct mail. So anybody that listens to this, we can show you how to generate massive amounts of motivated sellers without a big budget. That's why people come to us, and that's why the big hedge funds have me build out their blueprints. But on day 2, and I want to make no mistake when you're watching this or you schedule a call, we also teach you negotiations. It does us no good to get you a landslide of amazing motivated seller leads if you don't know how to close them and more than just making a cash offer. There are 10 different ways that we teach you in negotiations on day 2 on how to paint the picture to a seller on different ways to work with you to do a deal that most investors will never know how to do, that actually land you deals where other people just fall apart.
Yep. No, absolutely. No, great points there. And this was good. I think Matt's been part of the 2-day blueprint. Yeah, lease options definitely will start picking up quite a bit more.
What's he saying? The current state of McDonald lease options will be in high demand as lending guidelines. Yeah, I love lease options in a up market and definitely in a down market. And so Matthew, I'll just say this for everybody's benefit. And Matthew's actually going to be a part of our 2-day blueprint this next weekend here at the end of May. So here's what I would say to that. In a market where it starts to go down and there's gonna be a little market correction, all my hedge fund guys, there's gonna be a market correction coming up here, folks. Might be a dip in values, 5-10%, maybe more, who knows? But if there's even a little bit of a dip, here's what happens. Every investor, every beginner investor, every untrained investor, and I hope everyone on here is going to be a trained investor at some point. You're like, oh, now the time's ripe to pick, and a homeowner that's trying to get 80 grand for a house because it's worth 80 grand a day. You guys are beating them up and offering 50 because you're like, hey, the market's going down. That's why I have to offer 50. Well, that's logical. That's logical to them too. But that doesn't mean that they're going to like that, right? So I'm going to let all you do that because I'm equipped with, like we teach on the 2-day blueprint on day 2, different ways to strike deals and structure deals. Because we have ways to structure deals that I won't even get into right now that are just unfair. But one of them is lease options. So where you guys are offering 50 grand for that house that today's worth 80 grand, that 4 months from now might be worth 72. I understand why you're offering 50. I'll come in and offer them 80. I'm like, hey, look, let me guess. Everybody's beating you up and just throwing a $50,000 price tag at you. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what if I could offer you 80 if you give me 3 years to buy it? What if I give you a non-refundable down payment right now and start making monthly payments to you and you just give me time to buy it so then you get what you want? Now, if I give you 3, 4, 5 grand down and I don't end up buying it, not only did I pay your loan down over the next 2 or 3 years, but that money that I gave you is non-refundable. It's yours. Keep it. I'm just out that money. And 3 years from now, it might be worth 100 again.
Yeah. No,
and
exactly.
so it's easy to strike deals in a market that's going down with the lease option strategy, right? And we'll teach you different ways to structure deals on day 2 of the blueprint. Like right now, most of you are sitting here, most of you that will listen to this, even though we're talking about this particular deal, there's other ways to strike deals. Like one technique that we'll teach you, we can teach you a technique to offer them what they want for the house if it needs work and partner on the deal with them. So we'll teach you how, let's say they wanted 100 grand, but you're at 80 if you're doing cash. So you're going to have to follow up and hope you get the deal, right? And let's say it needs 50 grand in work. They want 100 for it. All fixed up, it's worth 200. Okay, I'm just teaching you another technique here. So they want 100 for it. You would need to put 50 into it to fix it to try and make another 50, right? So buy it for 100, put 50. You got 150 in to try and make 50. That's a 30-something% return on your money. But what if you told them you could partner with them on it? Say, hey, look, I wouldn't be here if you had the 50 grand to fix it up. I know I'm closer to 80, you're at 100. What if we just went a different route and said, I'll just partner with you on it. I will come in with the money to fix it, which you can joint venture with somebody who has money if you don't. I'll come in with the money, 50 grand to fix it roughly that I think, and we'll try and sell it for 200 and make 50. I'll agree to give you the first 100 grand, and I'll even agree to give you 20% of that 50 grand that I think I'll make. So basically, you'd be putting in 50 grand just on the fix-up side to try and make 50, but you also promised them 20% of 50 grand, which is 10 grand. So, hey, right. So that means they'd end up walking with the 100 that they wanted and plus another 10. So I'm showing them a technique to where I could offer them and they could walk away with more money than they were asking for. It's really freaking hard to say no to that.
It
right?
is.
And now I didn't have to buy the house. If I didn't have to buy the house, I'm just coming in with the money to fix it. And we'll teach you this in the blueprint on negotiations, how you structure that deal. But I'll ask them to go on title since I put money into it. And they're going to say, hell no, which is what I wanted them to say anyways. So then I'll say, well, at the very least, if I'm going to put money into it, I need a lien on title that needs to be paid off. And they're like, okay, that makes sense. But I don't want you on title. Perfect. Because I didn't want to be on title with you anyways, because that means we have to agree. But if I put a lien against title that comes due in 4 months, so if they get squirrely with me, I'll just say, hey, your lien's due. Give me my 50 grand. If they don't have it, then I could take the whole house, right?
Right.
But I'll put in 50 grand to make 40 grand. That's an 80% return on my money if I do the partnership route versus buying it and putting money into it and making a 30% return. This isn't a fair fight. And by the way, where everybody else walks out of the house without a deal, I strike a deal with them.
Yep. No, absolutely. And hey, we have some folks that were having questions. So this question, so only 42 are watching, and I was saying, hey, we need to get 60 likes and 60 comments. This is going to go back out to our email subscriber database, so that shouldn't be a problem to get. It doesn't matter who's on right now. People are going to watch this as a replay as well. So make sure you guys, if you want that borrower's authorization, make sure you give us a thumbs up. And then if you do want it, make sure you get out of the live chat comment section and put it into the regular comment section, which is right below this video. And then we had...
So a question for David. Hey, David, I know you're going to be at the Blueprint this next coming weekend. So one, congratulations. We're going to turn you into an assassin. But no, you don't need to schedule a call because you've already got, we've already talked to you, or Mike's talked to you about what we do, and you're already a part of the Blueprint. Matt, I don't know if you're still on here, Matt, but Matt, I'll see you this weekend too. Craig, schedule your call. We could have you next weekend as well. William, Bruce, Diana, everybody that's on here right now. We'll show you how this is done. I always tell everybody 138 cities, 34,000 off-market properties for our big clients in 16 years. That's either an accident or it's not, and it's not.
Right.
Which means that we can show you how to do this without missing a beat.
And I think this might be the last question. I'm not sure. Hey, for everybody that's still on with us right now, make sure you let us know where you're at today. I normally ask where you're at today, so let us know where you're at. There she is. Let us know where you're at today. Would love to know. And that's Miss Eva. So
I love you.
So Craig had this question: what info do you get before doing quitclaim?
I just find out what they owe. I asked for them to show me their mortgage statement, so I see what they owe. Because it usually has their taxes and insurance on there, so I know their taxes and insurance. So I want to know what they owe and what their payment is, and then I want to talk to the bank and find out how far behind they are. And while I'm on that phone call with the bank, they also verbally, on top of the authorization form we talked about, they verbally give me permission to talk to the bank. So I just need to find out what they owe on the property, and then I do my own assessment on what I think it's worth and how far behind and what their payments are, so I can structure, in this case, a lease option deal. So once I'm comfortable with that and we're comfortable with moving forward with that strategy, that's when I talk to them about if I'm going to catch up back payments, we need to drop a quitclaim deed so I'm on title.
Cool. So Will is from Washington. Awesome. Craig's from Columbia, South Carolina. Very cool. M is from Denver, Colorado. And they had something kind of odd the other day happen. Saturday, I heard, was just awesome out. People were out on the lake. They were tubing, going skiing, water skiing. And then the next day, it was like full-blown like snow, like big, fat snowflakes falling down after the day before you're out on the lake going tubing. So crazy stuff there. Can't leave comment. Okay, so that's fine. After we're done here with this video, the regular comment section will open. Charlotte, North Carolina, cool. Raymond, Dallas, Fort Worth, very cool.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Because the last video that we did, as you know, Jason, we had like 30-something people schedule calls with us. Still have some this week that we're trying to catch up on. So schedule your call at myblueprintcall.com so that we can talk to you about what you want to do in your business. But some of these cities that you're talking about, remember I said I'm in 138 cities, serving some of my bigger clients and hedge funds. Like I had a guy on the last Blueprint, like the one we have coming up on this weekend, that I've helped put together the systems and process to do 9,000 homes. His name's Joe, and he sat in for 15 minutes on our Blueprint so people could ask him questions for the big players at a hedge fund level. But all these cities you're mentioning, pretty much we've run our off-market blueprints in before, and we know how well it works to get you guys closing multiple deals a month. If you're already closing multiple, we can stack it.
Yep.
Dallas Fort Worth in particular, with two of our clients, we did 2,400 homes and 2,000 homes over an extended period of time. So well versed there, like 4,400 homes, got it down to a science. So Raymond, schedule a call. We'd love to talk to you. We're here to help
Absolutely.
everybody get to 5 to 10 closings a month. That's my goal on anybody that I get my hands on.
And hey, for those of you that are on right now or listening to this as a recording, make sure you become a channel subscriber, because we have videos come out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and having your support would be outstanding. For those of you that have already become a subscriber, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you. You obviously receive notifications of when we go live like this, when we have brand new videos come out. So you becoming a subscriber is awesome. And it's obviously free with YouTube. So no charge. And without a doubt, I feel that we give some of the best content out on YouTube as real estate investors. Just with the information that we've been giving, people have paid thousands of dollars through gurus in the past. So any final words from you, Jay, before we go ahead and wrap this one up?
Yeah, I would just say this. We have, when we do a blueprint, it's inside the mind map and the build out. So David and Matt, I know you'll be there at the blueprint this weekend. Everybody else, you're welcome to schedule a call. And if you can make it by next weekend, wonderful. But we have inside the blueprint, inside the map, that you'll get your operational map to run this, because this isn't a note-taking exercise. This is how you execute. So it helps you out in that respect. But we also have a formula in there to reverse engineer. If you say, hey, I want to get to $5,000 a month residual, because this isn't always just about just getting a good deal and flipping it and making some money. We have a formula in there that literally, if you want to get to $5,000 a month to $7,000 a month in cash flow, and that's your freedom number, we can reverse engineer how many flips do you need to do this many type of structured deals to get this amount of cash flow. So it's much easier, as you guys listen, or anybody who listens to this in the future, it is much easier to wake up with a mega high level of motivation if you know how to reverse engineer how many deals you need to do. So one of the deals that I do when I speak for the TV shows on real estate, Jason, and I don't even think we talked about this, is this. You tell me what you want to make, okay? You tell me what you want to make residual as real estate so you can be free forever. And then we reverse engineer how many flips you need to do and how many deals you need to close on the backside of that. Okay, so what that means is this. If we say, hey, our average, I use averages. So if we say our average flip that we do is $30,000. And so if you flip 2 houses and that's $60,000, if I can show you how to be into property for $5,000 or less, and you've got $60,000 sitting there, that's 12 deals. And let's say I can show you that cash flow $500 times 12 deals. That's $6,000 a month in cash flow. So that means all you have to do is 2 flips, and I will show you how you can be into other types of properties. And I hope and this is what you'll learn, and how to do it for $5,000 a pop. So how to be inside a property for $5,000 a pop or less and cash flow $500 a month. That's called nasty stuff. And so therefore, people think, oh, I got to do 15 flips and have $300,000 in the bank for me to cash flow $6,000 a month. You could do it in as little as 2 flips, and I can show you how to be absolutely free. It's just when you're going to do it, or you can just try and grassroots it and take forever to do it. So, like you said, the call's free. Let's show you how to do this stuff.
Yep. And we had one last question coming from David. So this will be the last one. Does the quitclaim deed affect the existing loan when doing this?
David, so banks put in their documents a due on sale clause. So it says in there, if at any given time the homeowner changes title or there's a change in title in general, they have the right to do a due on sale clause. But here's the one thing. I've been doing this for 25 years in the banking side. I've never seen any bank invoke a due on sale clause where the mortgage is caught up to date. So in theory, sure. Have I ever seen it in 25 years? No. And I've been doing it at a high level for a long time. So that's what I would tell you.
Yep. Well, cool. I think that's it. Hey, Jay, I know we're a long distance away here, but thanks for being on this session. And for folks that saw, we had to make some adjustments early on because there was some really nasty echoes coming. But thank you for all of you guys. Make sure if you have additional questions, go to myblueprintcall.com, schedule something out with us. We'll be more than happy to talk about you and your business and see if we could add value and help you with your business. But other than that, thanks for joining us today. We will see you on Wednesday. And make sure if you want the borrower's authorization, drop the comment below and give us a thumbs up. Have a great day. Bye now.
See you guys. Bye.